everybody, I'm Christina Can. Welcome to Big Beautiful Sky. Today I'm going to talk to you about the astrology of the next 3 years, specifically 2024, 2025, and 2026. By the time we get to 2027, my prediction is the world will be completely different. And I know that sounds wild, but the next 3 years are very active astrologically. Now, the reason I am creating this video is because I want to give you tools and I want to give you an awareness of what to expect over the next 3 years, because the changes are going to be swift, fast, and drastic. Technology is really going to swing into full forward motion. If you think AI is wild and crazy now, by the time we get to 2027, 2028, your mind will be blown. So I think what I'll do is I'll start off with some predictions. I will talk about why I've made these predictions. I'll talk about the transits over the next 3 years. And then we'll talk about what you can do to make sure that you're okay mentally, physically, spiritually. The thing about astrology you need to remember is that what is happening out in the in the galaxy with the planets is going to affect your subconscious. So anything that's happening out there is also happening in here. So the best way to deal with the energy and the astrology is to be aware of what is inside your subconscious. So that's why I created this video. I also wrote a very long article. I am a writer. I don't make videos, but today I'm going to do that. So bear with me as we go through the next 3 years. It's a lot of information, but that's okay. I want you to come back to this video if you need to and just check in. We're going to start off with Pluto and Aquarius. Pluto went into Aquarius a couple weeks ago. We're now in February 2024. We've had a little bit of a taste of it last year. It went into Aquarius briefly at the beginning of the year and then went back into Capricorn. Now it's gone back into Aquarius. It will be in Aquarius for the majority of the year, but it does briefly jump back into Capricorn September, October, and part of November during the US election. That is going to be a really volatile time. So just mark that in your calendar as, play low, stay neutral and observe. But we'll get a really good taste of what this new Pluto and Aquarius paradigm feels like, because as I speak, all the inner planets, Mercury, Venus, Mars, the sun is already there. They're all moving from Capricorn into Aquarius conjuncting Pluto. So we're actually getting, I call it a shamanic rite of passage, forcibly shown what this new Aquarian energy is actually like. The planets will also square Jupiter and Uranus later in the month. Valentine's Day will be particularly interesting as Mars and Pluto conjunct each other. But February is great because it really does kick off this Pluto in Aquarius and give us some insight into what we're going to be dealing with over the next 20 years. So buckle up. Now let's talk about Aquarius. Aquarius is the archetype is both, it holds both Saturn and Uranus. So it is both structure and innovation. I tend to lean towards the Uranus side of things just because I think Aquarius really is the innovator, it is the rule breaker, it is the rebel, it is the freedom seeker. If you've known people who have a lot of Aquarian planets, they can be somewhat conservative, but they are also just doing their own thing. It's almost like they're oblivious to what's going on around them because they're just them. They're just doing what they do. I love Aquarians. They're an air sign. And so it's very much about the intellect. What you will see for the next 20 years is a big focus on technology. So this Pluto in Aquarius is going to really power our technological innovation and move us into the future quickly, so fast that it might be unsettling. So please, I recommend grounding exercises, breath work, anything that can calm you down and allow your nervous system to reset. So with Pluto in Aquarius, Pluto is going to empower any of the Aquarian themes. And you have to remember, well, you should know that the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the American Revolution and the French Revolution. I believe that the American Revolution really did swing in our favor once Pluto moved into Aquarius. Before that, it was pretty close as to who was going to win. But France came to our aid, and we became the United States of America. Then after that, France thought that revolution sounded like a great idea, so they waged their own revolution and took down their monarchy. So Aquarius really is the sign of revolution and toppling those Saturnian structures that have made life so difficult. So that's a good thing, but the process of it can be quite unpleasant. Looking back at the American Revolution and the French Revolution, during those wars, life was very hard for a lot of people. So when you think about Aquarius, a lot of people think about the 1960s and people talking about the Aquarian age, the age of Aquarius. It was the musical Hair sung this beautiful song about Aquarius. And so people got this idea in their head that Aquarius was this utopian community-led group that we were all going to like join hands and sing songs into the future. And I just don't think that's actually going to happen. There's just no such thing as a utopia, and we live in a world where, psychologically people aren't really capable of that. So I'll leave it at that. I don't want to get too dark, but I think Richard Tarnas says it best. He's the author of Cosmos and Psyche. He says, when I think about Aquarius, this is the quote I think of. The natural human tendency is to want to know that the general outlook for the foreseeable future is uniformly positive and will only get better with blue skies as far as the eye can see. Yet, there are advantages to knowing of a potentially challenging reality in advance, facing it squarely, preparing for it, and recognizing its signs and characteristic motifs, its dangers, and its positive potential when it is consciously assimilated and enacted. So think about this video in those terms. What I'm giving you is an overview of themes that I think might play out based on the astrology of the next 3 years. So this is very much a mundane astrology, as in we're looking at the collective. I'm not talking about any signs or anything in particular. I'm talking about the overview of the astrology and how it might affect us collectively. How it affects you will depend on your natal chart. So I really do encourage you to pull it up and look at where Pluto is hitting in what house it's hitting, what house it's falling, and what planets it's hitting. Look and figure out where Neptune is and where it's going, and where Uranus is and where it's going. And once you have a good idea of how those planets are changing in your chart, you'll get a good sense of what you are going to personally experience over the next 3 years. So, with all of our outer planets changing signs, so Pluto's changing signs, Neptune's changing signs, Uranus is changing signs. Pluto's gone into Aquarius, Neptune is leaving Pisces and moving into Aries, and Uranus is leaving Taurus and moving into Gemini. So we're leaving all of the Earth we've been in for, since about 2018, there's been a lot of Earth, and it's now becoming air and fire. So it is combustible. So collectively, here are some predictions, and then I'll go into why. So what I want you to remember is, with all outer planets to 29 degrees ingressing into new signs, people will believe this is the end of the world and may act in extreme self-defeating ways. It is the end of an era, but not the planet. So stay away from doomsayers, okay? This is really important because so much is changing, because all these planets are, Pluto was at 29 degrees and it still will be, because it moves back to Capricorn in September. So it's going to hover at that 29 degrees, which is an ending. So it feels like end of the world. So you'll start to see those themes playing out. This is the end, end. It is the end, but not for, we're not going to all die, I don't think. It just feels like that. So remember, the outer planets are unconscious and subconscious, right? They are really mixing up what lies beneath the surface. So subconsciously, we know it's the end, certainly the end of our lives. Okay, so especially with Aquarius, Aquarius is opposite Leo in the natal chart. So you're going to see, I believe, a rise, and I just didn't even think this was going to be possible, but there's going to be more narcissism and more self-centeredness and selfishness. There will also be this tendency to be forced to think with the groupthink. So the narcissism could support aggressive and domineering climate change policy, dietary control, like meat-free alternative protein options, and the advent of digital currencies. And these will be ways that that people will be trying to control other people. Now, I don't know where you are on the political spectrum. I am an independent. I am a fierce proponent of freedom and individuality and letting people do what they want to do. And as long as they aren't hurting other people. So I think narcissism got really bad during Pluto and Capricorn. I think with Pluto and Aquarius, it's probably going to get worse. But as Neptune moves into Aries, we're going to have a dark night of the soul, where I think the ego and the false self will be forced to dissolve, especially in men. And it's going to make us rebuild better mental health or just fall victim to inner demons and become complete addicts. So this is going to be fueling the narcissism as well, because we're going to be asked, as Pluto moves into Aries, it's going to hit the 0 point in conjunct with Saturn. And it's almost like there's this new belief system globally being created. And it's going to be really unsettling, and people are going to be forced to look at themselves, their inner demons. And they can either choose healing or they can either choose addiction if they don't want to deal with their inner demons. So, what is narcissism? Narcissism is the creation of the false self, because there's been pain and abuse. So I suspect there will be a lot of false selves. And with the rise in AI, there'll be a lot of false selves, literally. We won't be able to tell what's real and what's not. Okay, the good thing is that as Neptune moves into Aries, we're going to have a new crop of spiritual warriors. I think this is really going to support men in a healthy way. And we'll be forced to really lead ourselves and not be looking to gurus or other people to tell us who we are and what to do. That's going to be gone, thank goodness. With Neptune and Pisces, it's been all this guru, where's the person to tell me what to do? No more. The other thing we're going to see, of course, is rapid technological advancement. So this is going to specifically transform communication, travel, and the financial and medical industries. So I think the pace is going to be so rapid, we might not be able to deal with it mentally. So I really, really encourage you to come up with practices to keep you grounded and your nervous system regulated. All right, so just make sure that over the next few years you're getting strong. Because we're moving into spiritual warrior times, get strong mentally, physically, and spiritually, because there's going to be the old structures are going, and there's a new system that needs to be built, and we need to be strong enough to build it. I also want you to really focus on building watertight boundaries and stay focused on the future you want to create. So regardless of what is happening in the world, I want you to focus on you and your life. Stay focused. And also do not let anyone weaponize your empathy. So anyone that says you have to do this for the greater good or sacrifice yourself for the greater good, no. Just say no. That is the most powerful word you can say. No. If you're into investing, I think there'll be some good investments in prisons, private security, military defense, and cybersecurity. There's going to be a lot of upheaval, which will probably create wars, both civil wars and wars with other countries. So we're going to need a lot of security. The other thing that we really need to be mindful of is cybersecurity. Financial institutions are going to have to build, massive AI armies to keep hackers out. So invest your money wisely and keep everything very safe and secure. So I also recommend that with boundaries comes the closure of borders. So I think borders need to be closed for countries across the world. People are just pouring in to countries everywhere, and it's going to create an economic disaster if it isn't stopped. So secure your boundaries, secure your borders, secure your home, and just keep some supplies on hand in case anything gets out of hand. With Pluto and Aquarius, I immediately think of communism. I suggest you read Milan Kundera. He is a beautiful author from Prague, and he writes about the communism after World War II. And his writing is truly beautiful, and it really gives you insight into, some people think communism is the answer, and I definitely do not. And I want you to think about what happened during our Saturn transit through Aquarius. We had lockdowns. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so here comes the bad news. With AI, there's going to be a lot of layoffs. Businesses are going to go under. People are going to be forced to figure out what they can do to earn money. And it's going to be really hard. I don't know what it looks like on the other side of AI, and I don't know how people are going to cope with it. I think the most important thing you can do is figure out who you are, what you are good at, your skills, and get very clear on the future you want, and just, again, stay focused on that. Protect your mental health at all costs. I would highly recommend not consuming mass media or news, and really restrict your use of social media. I'm hoping that social media is created that requires, that has borders and security and is only for humans, because you're going to see our social media just completely filled with AI. We won't know who's who and what's what. Okay. Also, I think over the next 20 years, human rights are going to have to take center stage. Laws must be enacted to protect humans from technology and tyranny. I don't think that a lot of legal systems are actually built on human rights, even though they say they are. I think they are actually built on religion, and that has to go. So that belief system with this Neptune moving into Aries, I think will go. And we just really have to focus on what is it? What is a human? What is it? Define that. What's a human? And now, set up laws to protect humans, because the technology is going to get kind of dangerous. The other thing I want you to do is stay sober. So alcohol, drugs, any other form of escapism is not going to help you. I mean, you can escape, but it's not going to help you. So heal your addictions. If you rely on mainstream medical care and it's not working for you, seek alternative methods. Focus on nutrition and exercise, and manage your stress. So it's time to take responsibility for your health. And the other thing I want people to be aware of is that natural does not mean bad. I think the more we worship technology, the more we are prone to think or to see nature as this enemy, or this, everyone's talking about climate change now, carbon, and nature isn't the enemy. It's just the way we're living. And we can easily fix that. We don't need to restrict or control the way we live in order to live in balance with nature. I think that fighting is not a good way to create something new. I think we just create something new alongside what is already existing and let that old thing eventually die. So I am a fierce protector of nature and people, but I also am very concerned about the green energy revolution, and the data I've seen does not prove that it's going to be able to supply everyone with energy. And if it cannot provide energy to everybody in an affordable way, it's going to put more and more people into poverty, then it's not a good thing. We have to protect the planet and the people. We have to do both. So if something isn't doing both, no. Another thing you can do, which is beautiful and nice, is focus on your local community and connect with like-minded people in your town or city. So join groups that have similar values, seek support. But be careful about groups. Only join and belong to groups that support individuality. So as long as you can be an individual in a group, great. That's a fantastic group. We're also going to see a huge rise in genetic therapy. So I'm wondering if women will even have babies naturally, or we'll just all be on IVF or surrogacy, or I don't even know. But the genetic therapies are coming. And I also think that the next 20 years, we're going to see a really big change in how families are structured. I don't think the nuclear family is going to be around in 20 years. It's going to be more like-minded groups, maybe groups of women raising kids together, or people living with their extended families for longer periods of time so that they can help raise children. I don't even know if marriage is going to be a thing in 20 years. We'll see. But I know there's going to be a shakeup in the family structure. Okay. So I'm calling the next 3 years, it's an introduction into the age of the individual. So a lot of the responsibility now is going to fall with you. You're going to have to figure out what's best for you. Seeking and finding information, yes. Looking to people to save you, no. Gurus, no. Even doctors, like you're going to have to really take your health, your physical health, your mental health, everything into your own hands. You're going to have to do it all. And that's fine. It's just, that's the theme. Good or bad, that's what it is. So I wrote this, and I think we'll see how it plays out. But with so much change on the horizon, many people will seek salvation. But salvation only comes when you realize that no one is coming to save you. Saving yourself is your job. Figure out who you are at a core level, determine the future you want to create, and diligently work towards that. Now is the time. So the energy is supporting this. The more responsibility you take to break free and to create a life you really want, to be the individual you are, to support yourself, that's what the energy is supporting right now. And it's supporting you coming together with other like-minded people who also see you and respect you, who you see and respect, and really as a group supporting the individual. That's the energy. So how does this end? I guess I'm looking 20 years into the future. The good news is that this ends with the collective realization that what is good for humanity as a whole is the support of the individual and individual needs. But things probably won't start this way. It will take 20 years to arrive at this reckoning, just like it took us 15 years of our most recent Pluto transit to realize that those at the top don't care about anyone but themselves. There is no point in celebrating or worshiping a Pluto grad. So you just have to remember, Pluto in Capricorn kicked off with Bernie Madoff and ended with Jeffrey Epstein. Pluto in Aquarius kicked off the widespread release of AI. Over the next 20 years, as AI advances, we will slowly begin to see our own reflection in it. So one of the questions we may ask ourselves is, what does it mean to be human? How we answer this question will result in how fast we abdicate our own humanity to technology. The more we associate being a human with suffering, the faster we make ourselves redundant. So I think a lot of people, when they think of being a human, they think of imperfections and they think of this brokenness or this evilness, so that being a human is bad and that technology is this clean, bright future. And I don't think that's the case, but we'll see. So in my opinion, Aquarius is not the sign of humanity in the sense that it supports the best interests of the collective. It is the sign of humanity in that it forces individuals to sacrifice for the group. So Aquarius can dampen our individual spirit for the benefit of the collective. Quite often we don't understand the value of something until it's lost. So what I don't want you to see is you sacrificing yourself, whatever the group thinks. No, 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 no. Be the rebel. Be the rebel. Okay, so moving on. So Pluto moving into Aquarius is really going to kick the next 3 years off. And then at the end of the 3 years, that's when we're in the age of the individual. And that's when we really got to take responsibility for everything. So let's talk about Pluto a little bit more. So Pluto is the archetype of the underworld. It brings powerful transformation. It ushers in radical change and rebirth. Pluto is an unstoppable force. It is a lotus flower that blooms from the mud. And Pluto's magic lies in the ability to unearth our hidden potential and transform lead into gold. So I love Pluto. I love working with Pluto because when you work with Pluto, it demands courage, honesty, willingness to delve into the depths of your psyche. It invites you to leave behind what no longer serves you, creating space for something more fulfilling to take its place. So Pluto enters Aquarius from January 20th, 2024 to September 1st, 2024, and then pops back into Aquarius again from November 19th, 2024 through to March 8th, 2043. So, like we said, Pluto, the last time it was in Aquarius was during the American Revolution and the French Revolution. There was also the beginning of the Industrial Revolution and the seeds of the Enlightenment. So Pluto in Aquarius can be amazing. I mean, it's setting you free. It's what it's doing, and it's setting up new systems. It's definitely not a bad thing. We'll see groundbreaking advancements and societal shifts. Last time Pluto was in Aquarius, they invented, or the smallpox vaccine was invented. So that's why I was hinting at genetic therapies. How are you feeling? Okay, so the next thing we need to be mindful of is Uranus and Gemini. So Uranus is leaving Taurus and moving into Gemini, a fast-moving air sign. And with Uranus and Gemini, it's going to be trining Pluto and Aquarius. So there's going to be a lot of, they're going to like each other, which is going to make things even faster. And there's going to be even more innovation in technology. So Uranus is also a slow-moving planet, but it stays in a sign for a while. Uranus has been in Taurus since 2018, so 6-7 years. So Uranus is associated with the principle, and the other thing you have to remember is that Aquarius is co-ruled by Uranus. So with Uranus in Gemini trining Pluto and Aquarius, there's so much synergy and support. So Uranus is empirically associated with the principle of change, rebellion, freedom, liberation, reform, and revolution, and the unexpected breakup of structures with sudden surprises, revelations, and awakenings, lightning-like flashes of insight, the acceleration of thought and events, the births and new beginnings of all kinds. So it's quick, it's fast. If you've had the pleasure of going through your Uranus opposition, which occurs between 42 and 43, it's called the midlife crisis transit. You will know Uranus kind of comes into your life and blows it up. Like, it expands you outside of your existing structure. I love it. I think it's amazing. Uranus is the rebel and the innovator. So, what are we looking at? First, we're going to see in 2024 a Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on April 20th. That's happening in Taurus, and I'm really excited about this because it's going to kind of give us an insight into what technology is going to dominate the next few years. Because whatever comes out of that conjunction, pay very close to the technology to see what the theme will be going forward. It'll probably have something to do with AI or robots. Historically, the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction has been associated with significant breakthroughs and discoveries, creative and philosophical awakenings, and the start of new movements and revolutions. So, you know what's funny? During another Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, 1775 to 76, the American Revolution began. And influential works such as The History of the Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire and The Wealth of Nations were published. Interesting. In the 1960s, there were various movements kicked off associated with Black Power, gay liberation, and radical feminism. And then in 89 and 90, well, what happened? The Berlin Wall came down. So lots of cool, amazing things happen when this conjunction is occurring. I definitely think once Uranus gets into Gemini, it's going to be really quick. So the last time Uranus was in Gemini was from 1941 to 1949, which was World War II. So as you know, there's a lot going on in the world right now in Ukraine and the Middle East. It's getting dicey. So with this transit, there could be a lot going on. I think also international travel might be somewhat either disrupted or innovated. So we might see a change in how we travel the globe, whether or not that's a new type of airplane is developed, or there are restrictions in where we can travel due to conflict. And then if you go back to with Uranus and Gemini in 1606 to 1613, that was the dawn of the scientific revolution. Cool. So the thing with Gemini is Gemini rules media, communication, transportation, communities, siblings. So Uranus and Gemini is going to innovate and quickly disrupt all of those things. So how we interact with our community, how we travel, how we consume media is all going to change rapidly. And like I said, I hope it is, and I hope it becomes more human focused. We could also see the way we learn change rapidly. Oh, the other thing, Uranus and Gemini was also during the Civil War in America. So that's another, with the political division right now, we can all definitely feel that going on. So Uranus and Gemini, I'm really looking forward to it. Expect more innovation in the areas we discussed about. Okay, so Neptune and Aries. Woo. I'm calling this the rebooted religion and renewed sense of meaning. Because it's leaving Pisces, which has just created this, it's been in Pisces since 2012, and it's just been this almost confused fog. It's like a double dose of Neptune. Whereas with Neptune moving into Aries, it's like we wake up from the dream and we see reality and we go, oh, we need to fix this. We need to start over. This all needs to be restructured, our belief systems especially. So Neptune is the planet of spirituality, dreams, and intuition. So this is another slow-moving outer planet. It takes 165 years to traverse the whole zodiac. So this planet specifically rules ideals, influences, values, aspirations, beliefs. It in Aries. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's almost going through an initiation. So that's why I think it's a belief system reset. I wouldn't be surprised if old religions that are currently popular don't, there's a religious shift. So whatever religions aren't as popular now suddenly become popular, and the religions that were popular suddenly become unpopular. There's going to be a shift around belief systems and religion. What that looks like, we'll see. So in Aries, Aries is a fire sign. It's the sign of the individual, the warrior. It's the spark of creation. It symbolizes new beginnings, pioneering ventures, courageous action. It's ruled by Mars. So it's bold, it takes initiative, it's independent. It's the sign of the individual and individual desires. So again, that's really supporting this individual to be the person fighting for what you need. So in Aries, Neptune's kind of in a contrast. The ruler of the ethereal and the spiritual plunges into the dynamic and concrete realm of the warrior Aries. So that's also why I think men are really going to get an up level. And I'm excited for men. And I'm excited to see what that creates. I think men have been dealing with a lot the last couple decades. And it's time for us to balance everything out. Women in feminism has become very extreme. It's almost to the point where it's time for it to swing the other way and just balance. We need some balance. So looking back at other previous Neptune and Aries eras, we see patterns of rebellious energy, ideological clashes, and societal transformation. So again, some wars. Whenever there's a lot of change, tumultuous change, there seem to be wars. People don't like change, and they don't like letting go of belief systems. And we're being asked to do those things. And so there's going to be conflict because the real war is inside yourself. But wars are really just externalized mental health issues or, ways to make money. Like there's really no good reason to have one. Defending your country or defending your home, all for that. But just having wars to have wars, which is what we kind of seem to do lately. Okay. The other thing that's really interesting. Oh, I forgot about this one. So with Pluto and Aquarius, there was also the, way back, I think it was the 1500s, we saw Henry VIII leave the Catholic Church and create the Church of England. So it was the Protestant Revolution. And with Neptune and Aries, this was also happening at the same time. So we're going to see a lot of religious restructuring and our freedom from any kind of religious oppression. Neptune and Aries, the American Civil War took place. Again, another theme supporting that. And the other thing, so there's a lot of overlap with wars, with these outer planets changing signs. So the American and French Revolution, the American Civil War, and World War II. So it's almost like we're seeing all of these wars energetically happening. We're seeing a shadow of these wars happening all at once, which that's how the energy works. And it's up to us to be aware of that so we don't fall into the same trap. And that's the thing about energy is astrology creates these patterns. And that's why we see themes playing out over and over again. And it's our responsibility to recognize the patterns and say, nope, you know what, last time I saw that happen, I made this decision and that wasn't a great decision. So now this time I'm going to make another decision that's hopefully better, creates better results for myself and other people. So that's the goal. All right. So when Neptune moves into Aries, it's going to conjunct Saturn at 0 degrees. And that's that big restructuring. That's that big reset we're gonna see. And how that plays out, I'm not sure, but please be aware of it. That's happening on February 20th, 2026. That's why I think the next 3 years are going to be incredibly special, because we're going to see all the outer planets change signs. And then once we get to 2027, we're in a new age. And so it's up to us to understand, okay, this is completely new energy. None of us have experienced this energy in our lifetimes ever. This is completely new. What do I want to create? How do I want to live? It's exciting. That's why I love the outer planets. All right. So the conclusion, the good news is not everything that happens in the next 3 years is going to be apocalyptic, but it's going to be drastic change. So it will be very unpredictable and volatile, and it can feel scary. When things change and we don't know what to expect, we get scared. That's just natural. So just be aware of that. I think the thing I'm looking forward to is after 2027, 2028 onwards. That feels like a really good opportunity to rebuild. It feels like there's going to be kind of a mess left from the next 3 years, 2024, 2025, 2026. 2027 is going to be us going, oh my gosh, what a mess. What have we done? And then from 2028 onwards, I'm hoping that it's our chance to really, we've settled into the energy and it's time to build something new, something good, something better for humanity. I'm also hoping there's a redistribution of wealth and power that got super concentrated during Pluto and Capricorn, so that there's a more equitable societal structure, and that I am really hoping that AI and all the technological advancements that we're going to see are designed to support us, not hurt us. And again, with Neptune and Uranus changing signs, there's going to be so many changes in the way we communicate and travel, and the way that we perceive ourselves in the world and ourselves in the world. So it's very exciting, and I hope that prepared you. I hope that gave you a really good overview. Please visit my site, bigbeautifulsky.com, for more information about the subconscious mind, health, wellness, all things astrology. And I look forward to making more of these videos to support you, especially during the next 3 years. Thank you so much.